So just how much does it cost to live in Ghana? I get asked this question so often, very, very regularly, which is fair because the prices of things change so quickly with inflation and everything else in between. In this video, I'm going to give you the current cost of living for 2025. We're going to talk about the low-end prices for things, the medium-end prices for things, and then the high-end prices for things. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned, give me a thumbs up. I'm sure you find this useful. Let's get right into it. The thing that most people tend to spend the most money on is rent. So rent in Ghana varies quite a bit depending on where you want to live. But all the costs that I'm going to be talking about is based on the cost of living within Accra and Tema. So within the greater Accra region, basically. So with rent, and on the lowest end, you could probably find a place for 500 Ghana cedis per month. But if you found a place like that, you're most likely going to have to share certain things, maybe the kitchen or the toilet and the bathroom, that kind of thing. Generally, these type of rentals don't have backup water or backup electricity, so that will be on the low end. On the medium end, it would vary all the way between 2,500 Ghana cedis all the way to about 5,000 Ghana cedis per month. With these places, generally you would always have backup water, backup electricity, still not so much. Generally, these are apartments that are gated, there's security, and it's safer, I guess, for these type of properties that are on the medium end. And then on the high end, it can go from 2,000 US dollars all the way to maybe about 5,000 US dollars, depending on the size of the home and the location and all that, those type of things. With these type of properties, they always come with backup water, backup electricity. You're never out of that. You have cleaners that will clean the compound. You have security, an actual security person that lives on the property or comes to work every day, that kind of thing. So you have all those things catered for. So that's the range. You can go 500 cedis all the way to through the roof, really, if you want. So that's basically rent for you. The other thing that's important that I mentioned is out here in Ghana, you don't pay rent on a monthly basis. You pay rent for the minimum, absolute minimum you'll be able to find is you pay 6 months upfront. So generally speaking, the 6 months upfront ones are the higher end places. So if you found a place for 2,000 US dollars, sometimes they're generally open to accept 6 months upfront, and then the rest you can pay later on. But this 500 cedis a month ones that I'm talking about, and then the one that ranges between 3,000 Ghana cedis and 5,000, generally the minimum you pay is a year. Some people would even take 2 years upfront. So that's something to bear in mind as well. The other thing that is important that I mentioned is water. So for a single person household, like for myself, generally water is around 250 Ghana cedis per month. It never really goes past that. So water is quite reasonable. For electricity, it's about 500 Ghana cedis every 3 weeks. This is for me who doesn't turn on the AC during the day because I don't need it. I only turn it on when I'm going to bed at night. So if you're somebody who has the air conditioner on 24/7, you probably be doing 500 cedis every 2 weeks, so making it 1,000 cedis per month. And if there's more people, then obviously the higher it will go. But hopefully that gives you a ballpark figure of what it costs for electricity. The other really important thing that I need to mention is internet and mobile phones. So mobile phones for credit, I'd say 100 Ghana cedis per month is more than enough call credits to have. It doesn't even matter which network you're going with. I feel like they all kind of around the same price because they're always competing with each other anyway, but about 100 cedis per month for that is enough. Most people go with MTN because they tend to be a little faster. They're in more places than Vodafone. So Vodafone can be fast as well, but it depends on your location. I'm mentioning these two brands for internet and mobile because they're the popular ones. There are other ones like Tigo and stuff like that, but it's usually between MTN and Vodafone. For MTN, the internet, which is what I use, they used to have this old thing called TurboNet, and that was really, really good. I really like that one. That's the one I have in my house. If I knew they were going to be so hard to find these days, I would have bought like multiples of them. I didn't know. I just bought one. With that one, if I put like 500 cedis worth of internet on there, that lasts me all the way up to 6 months or so sometimes. And I work online, so you know, I use a lot of internet, but still, like, it still lasts me quite a bit, or maybe like 4 or 5 months. It will last me for that long. But then the newer one, which is available, I don't know what that one is called, but if you went to MTN and you said you wanted Wi-Fi that wasn't fiber broadband, just a regular broadband, that one, you buy the modem for 1,000 something Ghana cedis, and then 380 Ghana cedis for 100 gig. And I don't know how they take out from that 100 gig, because that's the device I use at my office. And after every 2 weeks, I have to top up. So I would say every month for the newer version of broadband that's available with MTN that isn't fiber, I would say you need about 700, 800 cedis per month to utilize that one. They say that the older one is also available, but you have to sort of pay the person like some extra money for them to find it for you, because apparently it's no longer available. I think it is available, but then they just try to make more money off of you. So then they'll tell you, oh, it's not available, but if you give me some extra money, I'll find it for you. So, but I think it's kind of worth it though. If you have a bigger household, you have to budget a bit more. This is just for like one person really. Anyway, this is the long run just to tell you about how much it costs for internet. So this one I haven't ever really talked about on my channel, but I know there's a lot of people that watch me that have families that you know, have kids that will be going to school and stuff like that. So I made sure I did a bit of research in this one as well to share with you guys. So when it comes to school fees, if you're a Ghanaian resident and you're able to gain admission into these government institutions, you don't pay anything. So those are the lower end schools, like the quality of education and stuff like that, it's not really that high, but you don't really pay anything. You pay other things like studies fees and levies and things like that, but they're barely nothing, like 30 cedis and stuff like that. It's not really anything. So from there, if you want to go to a decent school that's like a private school, the kids get all the things that they need, that kind of thing, so that would be on the medium end. That the school fees range between 5,000 Ghana cedis and 8,000 Ghana cedis per term. Obviously it depends on what class the student is in, and also depends on the school they go to, but these are schools like Ridge, Christ the King. They're good schools, but they're not ridiculously expensive. And then on the higher end are the international schools, like, you know, the British International School and, you know, Lincoln, like those type of international schools. They're like really high end. Those ones, the minimum you pay is about $2,000 per semester. And obviously all these prices that I'm mentioning is aside the extracurricular activities you have to pay for, and the books and the excursions and all those extra things that they have to do. This is basically just school fees, and the school fees is also separate to admission fee as well. So I hope this gives you a ballpark figure of what you'll be spending if you were to take your kids to like a medium end school or a high end school here in Ghana. I think if you're bringing kids from overseas to here, government school, it's too hard for them to adjust. I don't think they will be able to fit in well, but I think if they went to a medium end, high end, they would do well. But the high end is quite expensive, but the medium end, I think it's manageable, so I would look in that range. With fuel as well, I use Shell, but then I feel like I just use them because they're everywhere. But then all the other petrol stations basically sell at the same price, usually just a couple of cents difference between the different shops. So currently it's 16.23 per liter for somebody like me who drives a medium-sized car and who goes around quite a bit. Every week I'd say I spend about 800 Ghana cedis on petrol. So it depends on the size of your car and that kind of thing. Like, I feel like if you're coming to Ghana, although a four-wheel drive is handy, you also really need to think about the size of your tank, because those 2.5s and the 3.0, you're asking for trouble. Don't do it. If you can do 2 maximum, I think is good. Anything more, it's expensive. The other thing I spend money on is a cleaner. So every 2 weeks I have somebody come to clean my house, like to do a proper deep clean, and then in between I'll do the little cleans. So for the cleaner, I pay her 200 Ghana cedis every time she comes. It's just me, and it's a 2-bedroom apartment. So if you have a bigger house, then obviously you have to cater to that. You have to make sure you're paying a bit more, but roughly that's what it costs. And then the other thing is entertainment. So entertainment, I've done another video by giving you a rough idea of what it costs to do stuff out here, fun things, you know, going to a club, a bar. That all depends, whether it's a high-end club, it's a low-end club. It depends on what you decide to do as well. So on the lower end, if you go to like a regular bar where you're just having like a bottle of beer and some grilled meat, if you've got like 300 Ghana cedis, I feel like you have enough to have a good time. If you go to the medium end places, I'd say 1,000 cedis is is okay. And then the high-end places like 3,000 Ghana cedis. Also depends on how many people are going, but I would say good 2,000 Ghana cedis to 3,000 Ghana cedis is a good amount of money to have to be able to have a good time in those places. The other thing I spend money on is tennis. So I play tennis 3 times a week. The coach that I play with charges me 400 Ghana cedis per month, which is barely anything. I feel like that's very reasonable. So obviously if you're not doing tennis and you're doing some other activity, then the price might vary as well. You know, these kind of sporty things, they're sort of around the same thing, unless it's swimming. I think swimming is around 1,000 cedis, but other sporty stuff, they're quite low. Because I think swimming is higher because it's popular and there's not too many pools around. So if a person has to take you swimming, they probably have to go and pay at a hotel to take you swimming, unless you have a pool in your house, of course. But because they have to do that, it makes the price go up a little bit. But the price to learn how to swim itself is not that high, if that makes sense. The other thing I want to mention is obviously food. So food, it really depends on where you choose to shop. You can shop in the local markets, like, you know, buy your fresh tomatoes, fresh fruits, those type of things. With that as well, the prices change all the time, but I feel like if you've got about $30 on you, you can do a decent amount of shop if it's obviously just for a single person household like myself. But if it's more people, you probably have to spend a little bit more. And then if you choose to do your grocery shopping in actual grocery stores like ShopRite and those type of places, that would be a little bit higher than what you get in the local market. So what I tend to do is I buy the fresh produce at the local market, and then for the canned stuff and for the bottled stuff and stuff like that, I'll buy from a place like ShopRite. They also have farmers markets around as well that have like fresh produce, but they're also like higher end, so a bit more expensive. It's mostly people that can afford a certain type of lifestyle that would go and shop in those places. They have everything too. They have like your tomatoes, peppers, all those things that you would need to cook. So it really depends on where you want to shop. Let's say if $30 will get me a whole shop, you know, with fresh veggies, fresh fruits, all that good stuff, and even some meat in the local market. If I went to ShopRite to get the same thing, it will probably be ×2 of the price that I'll spend in the local market. And also if I did the same in a farmer's market, then it's probably going to be ×3 of the price. So there you go. So low end, medium end, and high end. With the groceries as well, I feel like it's heavily impacted by what kind of things you consume in your household as well. You know, there's people that consume mostly imported products. So like cold meats like salami and ham, sausages, like blueberries, strawberries, those type of things. They're all not made here. They're not grown here, you know. So if you buy only those type of things, your grocery bill, it will be through the roof in comparison to someone who eats only local stuff like oranges and pineapples and those type of things. You know what I mean? So it's very hard for me to give you a ballpark figure, but I hope the information I've provided still helps and gives you some information. Also, when it comes to eating in restaurants as well, I would say anywhere from 200 cedis all the way up. It depends on how fancy the place is, and it depends on what kind of foods they're offering as well. If you go to a local place, 200 cedis will do you good. You can get good fufu and plantain and all those type of things for that price. But then if you wanted like some kind of sirloin steak or something like that, then you have to be willing to pay 500 Ghana cedis for just the steak, aside the mashed potatoes or whatever it is you're going to eat it with. So there you go. The final thing that I want to mention that's super important is transportation. So I've mentioned the fuel prices, so you guys know roughly what it will cost to be driving around in your own car. When it comes to public transport, you can do churros, you can do taxi, or you can do like Uber and Yango and Bolt and those type of transportation. Churro is the cheapest, followed by, I would say between taxi, I can't tell you the difference between taxi and Uber. I'm sure it's about the same, but what better way to tell you than to actually go out and show you. So we're going to go on a churro for the same distance, we're going to go on a taxi for the same distance, and we're going to go on an Uber for the same distance, and then you guys can compare the prices and know which one is the cheapest and which one is the highest and which one is medium. And so yes, let's go and do that. Sorry, let's do a roundabout. So I've just got off the churro, you guys. The things I do for YouTube, I haven't been on a churro for I don't know how long. Like, it's not that bad. I think the only thing is like they stop almost every minute because somebody's either getting off or getting on. It's the same as it is in the UK and stuff. You know, the public buses, they stop every second of every stop is like 2 seconds away from each other. So it's kind of annoying if you're in a hurry to go somewhere, but That's public transport for you. The total for that was 5 Ghana cedis. So now I'm gonna find a taxi and go back to that same location that I came from, and then we'll see how much that costs, and I'll let you guys know. Good afternoon. Pachomiko GT Bank, 26 Hadien. Pachomiko in Kaka after Echo Bank entrance view. Hiya, we'll get to your parking. The total for the taxi came to 20 Ghana cedis, and it takes you right where you're going. So what we took is called dropping. If you're taking dropping, they take you to exactly where you're going. The only difference I'll say between Ubers and taxis is obviously the Uber will come to you at your house to pick you up, but with a taxi you have to go out and find one and hail it, you know, so it's a bit different. But Ubers and taxis, the price difference wasn't much. I put it into the app to see what it costs to go back to where we came from, and it was 22 cedis, so it was 2 cedis difference. So 2 cedis difference to get picked up versus going out to look for a car. I feel like Uber is more convenient. So there you go. That's the price range for public transportation in Ghana. The other thing I wanted to touch on is health services. So with health services, the prices vary. So let's say if you are a Ghanaian citizen and you have an NHIS card, if you access the government hospitals, you don't pay anything to see a doctor, it's free. But then if you went to a private hospital, even if it's not on the high end, you still have to pay something. So generally the admission fee is between 70 cedis and 100 cedis for the lower end private hospitals. And then for the higher end, I would say it's about 300 cedis and above, depending on where you go. And obviously, like, that's just the admission fee to see the doctor, and then the follow-up from that will depend on whatever issue you're presenting with. The other thing I actually wanted to touch on is gyms as well. So they have these like really local gyms that are not indoors, like outdoors. They have all these metal stuff that the local people go to and work out at and stuff like that. Those ones are very cheap. They're like 100 cedis, 200 cedis per month, so it's barely anything. So that would be the lower end one. And then they have ones that are like in a big place, air conditioned, has basically every single equipment you can think of. They're in more affluent areas and stuff like that. With those ones, the prices can range all the way from 1,500 all the way up to maybe like 2,500 Ghana cedis per month to register and work out in these type of places. So it really depends on what you can afford and what you want to spend your money on, to be honest. But that's a rough estimate of what it costs to sign up to a local gym around here. There's actually ones that are like enclosed with AC and stuff like that for about 300 cedis as well, but those ones don't have all the equipment you want, so that's something to bear in mind as well. So that brings us to the end of my cost of living video for 2025. If you guys find this useful, make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow your bliss. So na life is short. Follow your bliss, na nipa yeden. Follow your bliss, na di ebesi biya ye, and follow your bliss, na den ne mada. Take care, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye. God be with you all.